Hi friends, it's Reverend Ben, and this is your weekly video. Please note that I will be on a staycation next week, so there will be no video next week. I come to you from the sanctuary, having just had a wonderful fellowship on tap with many of you last night. I felt this combination of happiness and also determination, because as you know, the Don't Say Gay law has been extended on up to 12th grade. So I just wanted to remind you and have us remind one another that it's okay to say gay and be gay at UU St. Pete. I'm going to light this chalice with those words in mind and with that sense of happiness and determination. Our work and our presence at UU St. Pete is needed now more than ever. I came to the fellowship on tap directly from a reproductive freedom vigil in front of City Hall, and it is just an honor to get to do this work with you any day, but especially these days. Um, our board meeting is tonight. Did you know that our board meetings are open? They are. You can attend. It'll begin at 5:30. If you want a little introduction to how board meetings work, you can come early at 5. We're having a special meeting at 5 for our 3 new board members that we are going to advance. The nominating committee has found 3 folks who are willing to serve, and thanks to you 3. You'll hear more about that later. Then at 8 p.m. tonight, the UU Ministry for the Earth will be sponsoring an online Earth Day worship. Some of you remember our guest speaker we had last year from the UU Ministry for the Earth, so that should be good. Then on Sunday, we have our Sexual Assault Awareness Month worship service with our guests survivor speaker, Natashia Milburn. Natashia also was one of the speakers yesterday at the Reproductive Freedom Vigil. I'm really excited to welcome Natashia and also to welcome our guests from the Suncoast Center, the local rape crisis center. Now, kids are going directly to religious education this Sunday, so there will be no time for all ages. And afterwards, there's the UU St. Pete Interest Fair. And so you can go around to the tables and see what the different committees and teams are that might need your help. Our annual meeting is May 21st. We'll be electing a new board, approving our budget, and voting on the 8th principle. Spoiler alert, I'm in favor of the 8th principle. Feel free to ask me why, and feel free to talk to any of our folks who have written articles on why they support the 8th principle. Last week's worship service ended with a little bit of a miscommunication around the caucus groups that we did a few weeks back. And Ariana Drew was kind enough to write something that will be in this week's newsletter. She said it's all right if I say it out loud to you here. So this is Ariana's letter. Ariana says, I wanted to write this to everyone in hopes of clarifying some of the concerns surrounding the separate BIPOC talkback group at the last racial justice talkback. You'll remember BIPOC means Black, Indigenous, People of Color. First, let me say that this suggestion came from me, says Ariana, a BIPOC member of this congregation, and was in no way an attempt at segregating the congregation. Ariana says I could discuss the UUA precedent for using BIPOC caucuses in curricula like Beloved Conversations, or the varying reasons behind their use, but instead I want to share with you what brought about the suggestion and the primary goal for me personally. The suggestion came after a question was posed to the racial justice team. What are you doing to protect your BIPOC members before, during, or after this talkback? Knowing how difficult the first racial justice talkback had been for me personally, says Ariana, and having just completed a training on race that used separate BIPOC groups, an experience that had been wonderful for me, I suggested we try that. This was not intended to be mandatory, but instead available if needed. A space to talk about the unique issues we face as UUs of color, to support each other in shared experiences, and most importantly, to protect anyone who felt they needed it from experiencing further trauma. Talking about race for BIPOC people in predominantly white groups is really hard, says Ariana. And while talking all together is extremely important, so is offering a safe space for any BIPOC people who aren't ready or who aren't in a space to take on that conversation yet. A safe place to talk about the experiences that make it hard to be in those larger conversations and how we might move forward to engage without risking trauma to ourselves. While clearly we made mistakes on how this was communicated, Ariana says, I hope that this congregation knows that my suggestion and the agreement with it by the racial justice team was done with nothing but love and kindness in our hearts and a desire to support and protect members of this church who may need it. With love, Ariana. And Ariana, I'll just say we love you back. And although it was not your job to write that letter and educate us, I am very grateful that you did the emotional and mental labor to do that. We're blessed to have you in our congregation, Ariana, and the rest of you, we're blessed to have you as well. So I'm going to extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of commitment, or the fire of courage. Because those I'm going to keep inside myself. Together with you, bring them out into the world. Blessings.